Make sure you are subscribed to both channels, The Hood Table and Tanya's Primetime TV Media Reviews. And if you like cakes or cake decorating or desserts or anything like that, live decorating, feel free to subscribe to my third channel, which is Tanya's Delights Slice by Slice. So thank you very much, everybody. Come on in. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Hit the like button. Also, share the live out if you like. Share the live out on Facebook, Twitter, IG, whatever, or on your YouTube platform. You can share the live out and like the video. And we're going to get started on season 2, episode 2 of Surviving R. Kelly. And this episode happens to be called let's see, what is this episode called? Let's see, the first one was the first one was It Hasn't Stopped. The second one is I'm gonna have to look it up. But while I'm looking it up, I'm gonna play our intro music.
You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable. Hop on YouTube, welcome to the Hood Table, where we chop up local and global events vocally. You don't really wanna miss out on these conversations. Just joke a little, laugh a little, get that wine in your system for your glass a little. Expose current events, talk trash a little. You never know, these opinions might clash a little. They addicted to the content, gotta binge watch. If you don't like it, then you want to invite and bet your friends watching in the house and your job parking lot before you clock it. They don't wanna miss a second of this HD content. Everybody think they got something to say, so it's an open invitation, bring it to the table. But if you come whack, just know we ain't buying in. We gon' probably turn you back until you start try again, Yeah, welcome to the Hood Table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable. Yeah, welcome to the Hood Table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable.
Hey, I just love that. My niece wrote that, by the way, for those of y'all who don't know yet. My niece did write that, by the way. Now, as far as the R. Kelly season 2, episode 2, I told you guys I was going to get you the exact title of this episode that we're reviewing today, and the exact title of the episode that we're reviewing today, season 2, episode 2, The Settlement Factory. And it's crazy how they came up with this particular title for this episode, because most of you who know R. Kelly and been following him and is a lover of his music, or used to be a lover of his music, knows that he had a CD called The Chocolate Factory, which was one of his last CDs that he happened to make. And when I say I was in love with that CD, The Chocolate Factory, I gotta admit it, this man might have done some really horrific, heinous things throughout these last 30 years, but we just cannot deny that his music is like awesome. We can't take away his talents. We cannot take away his talents. So with that being said, let me go ahead and make sure that you guys hit the like button. I see some hitting the likes. Hit the like button, share the live out so we can get started on this review. Again, I have about an hour. It's my lunchtime review, lunchtime session. So I got about an hour, so I'm gonna try to wrap this up all within an hour. But as far as the title of this episode, it was titled The Settlement Factory, because mainly throughout this episode, they mainly focus on the settlements. Now, we had heard, time after time, year after year, about the settlements and how a lot of these people, maybe possibly, if they hadn't, hold up. Oh, sorry. Somebody sent me a funny text message. I thought it was my son, because he's out running errands and he's supposed to pick us up lunch. And he told me, I'm going to call you before I'm headed to the restaurant you want me to go to, so you can tell me what you want. So anyway, yeah, as far as these settlements go, a lot of just like, okay, it all brings me back to what we found out in part in episode 1 of this season. The fact that Kills his mother when he was being abused or taken advantage of by the uncle of the neighborhood uncle. When they found that out, the neighborhood people, they beat him up. The cops took him to jail, and then his mother, she had the opportunity to press charges, to go to court, to stand in the gap for her child, stand in the gap for her young child, but she took a bribe. The uncle offered her $5,000. She took it and said she wouldn't show up in court, so she couldn't be there to press the charges. So therefore, the man got off. That just escalated and escalated and further escalated. Kills, I think he saw at that time, at that very young age, what money can do, and how people who might have power over you who are maybe more powerful than you, can also have power over you if they offer you the right money. But this is what happens sometimes with these celebrities. Many of these celebrities, not just Kels, some celebrities we don't even know of. When the Me Too, hashtag Me Too era started, a lot of people came out the woodworks for Kels, for Weinstein, for Cosby, for a lot of other people. Epstein. I mean, a lot of people started coming forward. Thank God for the, Me Too movement, which some people are for, some people are against. Like, why these ladies wait so long? Why does it take a Me Too movement for people to speak out? But anyway, anywho, as far as this case, again, this episode, they titled it The Settlement Factory. It started off with speaking to singer Tiffany Hawkins. She was actually victim one. They actually call her Patient Zero. Victim one, Patient Zero. Back in 1991, she was 16. She had first met him when she was 15. She's from Chicago, same place he is. She's born and raised in Chicago. Very talented, an amazing voice. One of the people who had kind of mentored Kales when he was younger, which was Dr. Lena McLean. She used to be a music teacher at Kenwood High School. Again, she had also mentored Kales. Now, if you recall, in season one, last year in season one, that same lady, that black teacher, that music teacher, she had recalled how she had told Kels many times to stop messing with those young girls. She said when he graduated from high school, or when he left high school, I should say, when he left high school, she said he was hanging around a lot of girls, but then after high school, he would come back to the high school and she would see him all the time around all these little girls or all these teenagers, and he was then grown. So even if he just left high school and turned 18, 19, 20, he was still hanging out with these young girls. But I think in his mentality back then, I think he was, from the way they made a scene in season one, that he was like, okay, I just left high school. I'm not that old. I can still mess around with these little girls. I think that might have been his mentality. And that's how a lot of guys do get caught up. They might be 18 and dating somebody in high school. Then as soon as they turn 19, that girl is still in high school. And then they could get caught up with a charge, even though they started dating when he was in high school. So that does happen. But she met him at the age of 16, and he at that time was a grown man. She was very talented. She and her girlfriends, they wanted to sing, they wanted to be stars. Her friend was a dancer and singer, Javante. But Tiffany, she was mainly a singer. And Dr. Lena, she said how she reminded her of Whitney Houston, her voice, how strong it was. Her vocals was like, at that time, 15, 14, 16 years old, to have vocals like that. Of course, Kels would be impressed. He would be impressed. But just like a lot of the other girls that he was impressed with, per se, he would show like he was impressed. He wanted to hook them up, wanted to help them with their career, or help mentor them, or make them his proteges. And it seemed like he was doing that for the most part with most of these girls. But then they eventually found out what it is that he really was focused on. He wasn't really focused on their career. And that's the saddest thing about this whole whole thing with me, the saddest part about this is a lot of the girls or the young women who encountered him and ended up having a relationship with him, they were talented. Like, they had skills. They could sing, they could dance, they could do all that. They were beautiful. And he could have escalated their careers. He could have. He was the man. He was the man. Everybody wanted to be with him. Everybody wanted to collab with him. Everybody wanted him on their tracks. I mean, he was the man back then. Not only was he fine as heck, like some women believe, but he was talented, and he could have given them the boost, for them to rise into fame. That's the saddest part. Like, you didn't make any of them famous. I mean, besides Aaliyah, but we'll talk about her later. But he didn't make any of them famous. Like, all he did was use them and give them hopes and dreams, and then use them and then toss them away once they realized what was going on. But this one, the first one, the youngest one, the one they called Patient Zero, um in her case, it was like other cases involving kills and involving other, predators out here, in the world. He had like this particular kind of girl that he was after. Like, they were young, very young. They were African American. They come from certain areas, certain neighborhoods where they didn't have a lot of opportunities. Their family might not have been doing so well financially. The girls might didn't have good relationship with their fathers, with their mothers. They might have been outcast. They might have been shunned. They might have had abuse going on in their own family, And this what happened with Tiffany. Things was going on in her household. The opportunities weren't there. She was very, very talented, and she wanted that. She just wanted that helping hand, to get her to the next step, the next level where she wanted to be. And on top of that, her mother's boyfriend, I don't know if it was her stepdad, if they ever got married, but she just kept saying my mother's boyfriend. He was abusive to her and her mother, and her mother knew. And in most cases, it's like, hey, that's my man, whatever. So anyway, she started hanging out in the streets, hanging out with her homegirls, some of the ones that she was seen with or whatever. And one of them was Javante, and one of them was Ebony. And Javante, we had talked to her. Well, she had spoke a little bit in episode 1. And again, in this episode, in episode 2, about their relationship. Javante was a singer dancer. Tiffany was just a singer. Kels asked Tiffany, like a lot of the girls have mentioned over the years through these interviews, documentaries, that he would tell them, he would show them like so much fun, and they would be hanging out and laughing and playing around and joking around and probably watching movies, eating popcorn, just turning up, having a good old time. And him acting like he was helping to further, or intended to help them further their career. So then he's like, why don't you bring your homegirls, bring them, see if they want to hang out with us, we all can have a good time together. That happened time and time again. That was one of the main ways that he ended up having access to more and more young girls. And remember in season one, one of the ladies said there was a lady who was there who was like, I don't want to call her like one of the recruiters or whatnot, but that's what they was doing, recruiting the guys in his camp, his brothers, giving all these young girls these phone numbers at these concerts, on these tours, giving them his personal phone number. Like, if you really famous and you in entertainment or whatnot, and you really interested in somebody, normally, I think the normal route is give them the manager's number, give them my producer's number, give them the number to the label, give them the number to, but he was always handing out his personal number, having people, get his personal number to these young women. Then these young women, they would be like, oh, we're having such a good time here. Let me have my homegirls come. And all the homegirls came, and he just kept getting access to more and more and more and more women. And again, I don't think just these girls were involved with that. I mean, everybody from Damon Dash to Angela Yee, all these people in and out of this documentary have mentioned over time and time again over the years, how he would not have never been able to do as much as he did to these young girls for over 30 years. 30 years of enabling R. Kelly, of allowing him to continuously do what he did. Now, what I found interesting in this part two, most interesting, I should say, in this episode 2 of season 2, was again his brothers, Carrie and Bruce, seeming like they were again giving him an out, giving him excuses. His reasoning why I think my brother did this, because of that, whatever. Now, remember last episode, they talked about how their mother had paid the abuser, the man, uncle, who wasn't really uncle, but Uncle Henry. She had got paid $5,000 to not show up for court and defend R. Kelly when he was being abused by this Uncle Henry. After that, the brothers, Carrie, well, Bruce is the one that's still in jail, and Carrie is the one that mostly favors R. Kelly, and we'll talk about that, in a little bit later down the line. But as far as the brothers go, when they're trying to defend him, what I found most interesting was the fact that when Bruce said, when he was like, asked, did R. Kelly ever record these ladies without their consent? Do you know if that ever happened? And he was like, no, I don't really think that he, recorded any of those girls at all without their consent. Bruce was like, no, I think they all knew. They all knew. They were not secretly taped. But then when they asked him, has he ever recorded you having sex? And he was like, well, yeah, he did record me having sex and whatnot. And they said, well, did he ever do it without you knowing? Now he claims, excuse me, water. He claims that he found out once, like he had did something with he didn't say if it was a girl, by the way. I don't know if y'all caught that, but he didn't say it was a girl. He didn't say it was a woman. He said one day he was doing something with a female. He didn't know he was being recorded. He found out the next day. Kel showed him, he was teasing him. He was making it seem like it was a joke, like it was a game. I recorded you. Here's the videotape. Hey, silly mommy for life. Hey, Betty White. Hey, loves. Where is the parent? A lot of the parents weren't there. They weren't there. Most of the girls were underage. They were underage. You said one of my old-time childhood friends used to date him, but I thought she was lying. She was only 14. But now, looking back, I believe her. She always was wearing the most expensive. I believe it, too. If that would have been my friend, my homegirl, I would have believed it, too. He was taking very, very good care of the women. He was of the girls. I keep saying women. He was taking very, very good care of the girls. He was clothing them. He was feeding them. I'm sure if they had to go to the doctor, he was probably paying their doctor bills. The hair and nails done and all that kind of stuff. And as far as MJ, my bad. I did mean to put review in the title. I will edit that and put review in the title. So I'm supposing that you probably thought this was the actual show. But if you have not seen the show, you can catch it on demand, on cable, or you can catch it on Lifetime. It's on Lifetime. You don't even have to have cable, if you want to watch it on the Lifetime website. on the internet. So you can catch the entire show on there. And you can catch actually season 1 and season 2 on Lifetime. But yeah, and so he was like, I found out the next day that he was recording me, and he said he was making it like if this was a joke or a game. And then he said next thing he know, Kels had put all these recordings together to make like a movie, a pornographic movie, and it was called hold on, what did he call it? He called the books. Hold on. I don't want to say the name. I also my bad. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna put the review in here because I don't want nobody else to come in here talking about why you got the name. Why you didn't put review? Let's see if I can edit it from over here. Hold on. Let me edit it. Okay, so review. Okay, I just put review in the title. Okay, I don't know if it's going to show up immediately, but I did put review in the title. But what you say, Betty White? Hold on, let me see your comment. Betty White, you said, hold on. You said, I bet her parents knew too. Some of the girls wanted and chased it. Yeah, most of those girls are underage. Betty, I thought I saw a comment that you said about. Oh, Betty, you said, don't believe the rumors about me and make your own mind up. Now, what's that? Hold on, what's that regarding? Is that regarding the R. Kelly documentary, Betty? When you said, don't believe the rumors about me and make your own mind up? Yeah, I would never leave my daughter around him. One of the things that I keep hearing in the documentaries and from not just this documentary, just in general from people who hung around him, a lot of things that I kept hearing was a lot of them did know. They did absolutely 100% knew what he was doing. Absolutely knew. But they made sure to keep their loved ones, their young kids, away from him. They wouldn't have their kids around him unless they were around him. They would never, like, even if their child was talented, they wouldn't let them be with him in the studio, anything, because like they said, a lot of things Kels did in front of everybody, like with Ebony, when she, who thought she was so in love with him, and you know, you can't blame these young girls when they think they in love with a man, when they think they the only one. Like when he usually does what he does with the girls, he makes them think that they're the only one, and then down the line they realize he ain't doing it with just me. He doing it with her and with her and with her. And like Ebony was like, when he had bent that girl over in front of her and start doing it with her in front of everybody, like it was nothing. And then the girl, I mean, she just sat there bent over, taking it in front of everybody like it was nothing. So some of these girls, it was like they felt like so in love with him. Like Tiffany said, she feels the worst about Ebony. She feels the worst about Ebony because of the fact Ebony was really in love with him. Really in love with him. And when she found out there was other women, she like lost it. She lost it. Her heart was broken. Her heart was extremely broken. You said Betty White, you know you good with me, boo. Not sure. Was that supposed to go for us? Oh, and that's what I was saying too, silly mommy. I was like, was that comment regarding the documentary, or was that something on a personal level or something? Because I follow a lot of people here on YouTube, and I be in a lot of different chats, and I see a lot of the same people that be in my chats, be in other people's chats. But there has never been a time where I like, and I don't even think Betty White is a content creator, but there's times when content creators will get into it, and I'm like, hey, I'm still gonna like who I like and be subscribed to who I subscribe to. If somebody, if I deem them to be where I need to back away, then that's what I'll do. Until then, that's y'all business. That's y'all business. I don't care what you did to them, what they did to you. That's y'all business, because a lot of stuff, a lot of funky stuff be going on here on YouTube. But y'all know that. Most of y'all know that. But you said Kels had that money manipulation and mind game. His camp knew he was wrong, but they was getting paid big time. These girls really, and that's exactly why a lot of the threats came about, because a lot of people in his camp was getting paid. And when they see, like, okay, the indictment, the indictment from the 2002 was that the little girl, the 13-year-old little girl who was staying at his house and staying overnight, and her dad played guitar, for Kels, and her aunt, she used to sing with Kels, and everybody know that story, the history behind that. But everybody who was in his camp, from the band, security guards, managers, artists, stylists, whatever, they was all getting paid a whole lot of money. And when they see all this going on in the camp, and then they see all this money, like he's paying upwards to $240,000. Aaliyah's family got paid $2 million. $2 million. And yeah, he did marry the girl, and he did lie and have her get fake ID and a fake marriage certificate and all this. So I believe Aaliyah probably was the only one who got paid that much money. And I think it was mainly because who her parents was. I think it had a lot to do with who her parents was. The other girls, they got paid like $50K, $100K, $250K, little money here and there. And to them, it was big money. Like, I mean, come on now. R. Kelly's mother sacrificed him. She sold him for $5,000. She didn't literally sell him, but when she didn't go to court and show up to make sure those charges were pressed, make sure they stick, and testified and everything, and took that $5,000 from that predator, Uncle Henry, the neighborhood uncle, she basically sold her son. She sold her soul to the devil. That's basically what they did. And he learned something valuable. He learned a valuable lesson at a very young age, that I can have money and I can pay off people and I can keep doing what I'm doing. Because 9 times out of 10, Uncle Henry probably was doing a whole bunch of more stuff to a lot more boys than trying to mess with just Kels and his brothers, back in the day. And he might have paid off other people too as well. But it's all about protection. Like, yeah, the mothers might not have always been around, but like they say, these women, these girls, when you that young, and it takes to about the age of like 25 for our minds to be fully developed. Like they say, our brains don't fully stop developing until we are in our mid-20s, like 25, 30. And I think guys is a little older because, of course, women are smarter than men, right, ladies? But the girls were at such a young age, they weren't old enough to make those kind of decisions without being coerced. So, a lot of people will repeatedly say to the end of time about these girls and other girls who don't come forward, or who claim to be maybe brainwashed, fell in love with an older man. He was buying them gifts, taking care of them, all this kind of stuff. And they didn't know, like, quite how to leave or quite how to tell what was going on. But a lot of the girls, remember, a lot of them did say what was going on, and nobody believed them. Some of them went to lawyers and nobody believed them. Why? Because Kels is Kels. Why does R. Kelly need to sleep with little girls? Why does R. Kelly need to groom these little girls and buy them trinkets? He bought the one that was in the tape where he pissed all on her. He bought her a car. Her first car came from him at the age of 16 years old. Why does R. Kelly have to do this and do that when he's R. Kelly? He's huge, well known, famous. All the ladies out here love him. They love his music. He don't have to do nothing like that. So a lot of times they were not believed. And when they would tell their friends, like, silly mommy, you said you didn't at first believe your friend who said she was in a relationship with him when she was that age, because it's like, why would he, this grown man, he could have any woman in the entire world, why would he be dating these little girls? Why? But he's sick. Like, Most predators, they're sick. They're sick, and they thrive on coercing people, and they thrive on being in control, and they thrive on having people submissive to them, and they thrive on them not being smart enough to make wise choices and wise decisions. That's what it's all about, and that's how he did this for like 30 plus years. But again, that Ebony, I can tell that she really, really, really was in love with him and thought she was the only one. When they were talking to like the tour managers, Jim Pratt was his childhood friend, security guard. Demetrius Smith was a former tour manager, and his public, I think public assistant or personal assistant, yeah, personal assistant. They both stated they saw young girls around all the time, but they didn't think nothing was going on. Like the girls hung around late, they spent the night. He was buying this and that for them. They was always there. Parents never around, but they didn't think anything was going on. It cannot be possible. It cannot be possible. Me, if I mean, come on now. If you're around somebody who's famous, even if they're not famous, if they're just rich and they got a lot of money, and you see little girls running in and out their house all the time, like running out their house like it's a freaking playground. Like, I mean, like it's a carnival in there or something. I mean, you just and you didn't think nothing was going on. I don't understand this. I really don't understand why nobody else has been brought up on charges yet. I really don't understand. I really don't. It's so many people. His camp, his circle was so large, from his brothers, like his brother Bruce. Yeah, I didn't think that he was, recording those women without their consent. They had to know. But then he turns around. Oh yeah, he recorded me, and I didn't know. He told me the next day. Then he used the footage to create a whole tape called Dumb Looks. And why he called it Dumb Looks? Because when you are in the heat of the moment, in the passion, getting it on, having your relations with your partner or whatever, we make some dumb looks. Humans make some dumb, funny looks. So he named it Dumb Looks, and I think he named it that as to kind of still make it seem like it was a joke, like it was just to make it to like it was a lighthearted situation. Yeah, I recorded y'all without watching, but look, they funny. Look at your face. Look at her face. Look at this. Look at that. Look how y'all intertwine. It's funny. He tried to make light of the situation, that it wasn't nothing bad about recording somebody without their permission. I mean, that's sickening. That's just as bad as going into a stall in a restaurant, or going into a gym, or going to a spa, or going to a hotel and somebody's recording you without your permission. Then they put it on tape and they sell it in the porn world, in the underground world, because they can't sell it at the stores. It got to go in the underground world. And when that tape came out with him and that young girl, when he was peeing on her and everything, oh my God, they showed like the spoof that Dave Chappelle did. Do y'all remember that? When Dave Chappelle, was acting out the scene on his show years ago, and he was running around with a water hose, he was wetting up all these girls, and at the end of the water hose, the big can that the water hose was attached to, it said R. Kelly's urine. I remember that like it was yesterday. It was funny. The thing about it was all these things that happened back in the day, even to Aaliyah. Like after Aaliyah, it should have stopped right then. It should have stopped. He had got away with so much, and then by the time he got with Aaliyah, it was like, okay, you got to pay her family $2 million. This is in national news now. National news. All the other stuff was on a smaller scale because people didn't really know these girls. They might have been very talented, the best dancers out there, but they weren't well known. But when Aaliyah came out and we found out that he married this girl and his whole camp, like, Y'all knew she was in his bedroom on his private bus, sleeping in his bed. I mean, y'all knew. But, because of who it was, because I think her parents had a lot more power than the other parents of the other girls, and he was able to pay them $2 million. And so to a lot of the world after that happened, it was like, oh, this. Did y'all hear about R. Kelly marrying? Did y'all hear that rumor? Did y'all? Yeah, the license. They said it was fake. They said her ID was fake. It was like a rumor. Nobody looked at it back then like, oh my God, this guy's disgusting. What's wrong with him? Somebody lock him up. Throw away the key. He's messing around with these young girls. He's marrying little girls. You like almost 30 years old and you're marrying little girls. But no, he wasn't looked at like that. And then by the time he got off in 2008, after that indictment, he got off. Mainly one of the reasons why he got off was because the parents, even the father who was his guitarist, they didn't show up. I mean, they didn't represent their daughter the way they should have. They showed up, but they denied that was their daughter. They had like 15, 20 people to say that they can identify that young girl, and that is the little girl that is alleged to be on that tape. The only people that denied it was her parents. That was it. And they continued to get paid through him. The father continued to work for him. And it's like another reason why he got off was because the tape, which showed him, messing with her and urinating on her and everything, when that was found, they also found that big old bag of tapes and a camera, a big old duffel bag with a camera in it. And the camera had her on there. It had pics of him, it had pics of her, but it also had others on there. Other young people on there. But the judge threw it out because they said they didn't have permission. It was a legal search and seize, and they didn't have permission. So even though they had a tape that clearly, without a shadow of a doubt, looks like Kells urinating on this woman and having a little girl and having sex with this little girl, clearly it showed him. Even with this other evidence of other little girls, the judge was like, sorry, we can't accept that. We cannot. Man, if they would have gave out, even after the judge denied them to allow that into the trial, I think even if they would have gave them actual permission to search all his properties, I think they would have came up at that time with more tapes, because there were more tapes. Everybody knew he had more tapes. The people in his camp who was like, oh, well, we didn't know he was recording these girls. We didn't know he was having sex with. They said, like, they kept saying, he loved to record. He loved to record. He loved to record and make tapes like that, underground tapes. So it was knowledge of him doing this, and they know that it had to be more tapes. I bet that man probably had like a lot, not a library, not like a public library, but a nice size library in a nice home. I'm sure he probably had enough tapes to fill up the shelves of a house size library. You say you want to know who his lawyer is because R. Kelly can't read. You about to make me choke. Hold on. You said you want to know who his lawyer is. Okay, sorry. Somebody sent me a message. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember what was his lawyer's name. I can't remember off the top of my head. But he had it was more than one. He had 4 lawyers. He had 4 lawyers. And the lawyers at that time, back in 2002, they was charging him $850 an hour. And between 2002 and 2008, when he got off, you know how much money that was? $850 per hour for each attorney. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And then in between then, he was still paying off. That was just for that case. In between then, he was still paying off families of the kids, the little girls, the teenagers. He was paying off for them in between time. That's why his tail ain't got no money. Like I said, even if he get off after this And I honestly believe that he's not going to get off. If there was a smallest possibility that he could get off in this case, he will never, ever be as famous as he was. I think it would be a waste of time for him to even get in the studio, because people we know, even if it gets thrown out over something that happened illegal in the trial or something that went wrong in the trial, they had to throw some things out. We know, just like with the last, they had to throw it out because of the parents saying that's not their daughter, because of the judge not making that other evidence admissible. It's like sometimes things happen where the case just get thrown out, but like a lot of people say about O.J. Simpson. A lot of people honestly believe that he killed Nicole and her man. A lot of people believe that, even though he got off because either something was admissible or you know what I mean. It happens. And it's sad that it happens in this case. It's sad that so many things over the years, from his mother being paid $5,000, from Aaliyah's family getting paid $2 million, from his very, very first victim, Tiffany Hawkins, being paid $250K. I mean, it just spiraled under control. He just kept thinking, I'm this powerful person who can pay off anybody and everybody. Anybody and everybody, and I will never go to jail. I can do this until the day I die. He can be Hugh Hefner's age, 60s, 70s, 80s, and he can still do this till the day he dies. He has to be stopped. He has to be stopped, and anybody else who is doing anything like this has to be stopped. And then on top of that, the non-disclosures, the NDAs, the attorneys. Okay, Tiffany, the attorney that Tiffany went to, the attorney that she used for her case, that got her to $250K. After it was found out that this lawyer was able to get this money for this teenage girl, she got, the law firm. The law firm got a whole much more clients who had something to do with R. Kelly. He started paying off them. Now the law firm, they cannot disclose how many victims there were. They cannot disclose how many NDAs there were. They can't disclose what was in the NDA. They can't disclose none of that information. Kells can't talk about it. The lawyers can't talk about it. The victims can't talk about it. This is another thing that, helps him progress and keep sleeping around with younger and younger girls. But he finally, at some point, at least I want to say that I hope that at one point he just focused on women who were basically like officially grown, like 17, 18, 19. I would hate for some other younger victims to come out, but he did eventually get to that time where he was like, I think he was like, okay, I gotta stop. I gotta get them a little bit younger. I can no longer be the Pied Piper. Excuse me. Oh, fresh water. You said, do you think it's bad if we still listen to, Betty? I don't listen to his music, but I haven't muted him. Like I said the other day, I can't honestly say I muted him. Because there might be times and places where I'm out somewhere and I'll hear his song, like at a friend's house, at a family gathering, and I'll hear his song and I'll be up there, hey, that's my jam. That used to be my jam, whatnot. I still have tons of music from him that I collected over the years, all his CDs, all his albums. I can't say I don't listen to it. Like, I will not put on a tape and play the CD. I don't know why I haven't really gotten rid of the CDs. I have a thing with my music. Like I have a thing about owning music, especially owning old music. You know, all the old school, the R&B, the old school rap, and all that. I have a thing about my collection. You know what I mean? It's maybe one day I'll be like, I'm tossing this stuff. I'm gonna set a fire. Like some people, you know, they set all his stuff on fire. I ain't got to that point yet, even though I know that I know that I know that I know that he is wrong and done a lot of wrong things. Hey, Miss Naturally Lowlands. Hey, what's going on? Are you tuning in for work again? Don't be getting in trouble watching us. Age ain't number. Going down ain't nothing but a thing. There's loving out here for you. It will never change. Hey, that used to be one of my favorite songs. And that was before I knew about Aaliyah. I mean, I knew, of course, we knew about Aaliyah because she sung the song, but you know what I mean? That was before we knew that what happened. And even after it happened, even after her parents settled and their divorce got annulled, we were still listening to that song. I mean, for years, that song was like at the top of the charts. It's ridiculous. I love Aaliyah too. And to hear Dame Dash talk about Aaliyah, I honestly believe that if she had not died, that him and her might have been in a really long relationship, if not still together to this day, because they were really in love and was speaking about marriage. And the crazy part about it is, although she trusted him and she was in love with him and they were dating and they were speaking about marriage and all this kind of stuff, because of the NDA, she still refused to disclose information to this man that she's thinking about marrying. That's how severe it is in those NDAs. Her parents got paid $2 million. If you disclose something that goes on in an NDA process, or you speak about the facts that led up to the process, like what happened, the civil case, if she would have said anything to anybody, then he could turn around and sue them. So with those NDAs, those are really serious. And again, that's why, I mean, she wouldn't even tell him. She wouldn't tell Dame up to the day she died, you know, in a plane crash. Rest in peace, Aaliyah. But even in, you know, up to that time, she didn't tell anybody. Her parents still to this day won't talk. Just imagine if we could talk to her parents. Just imagine if we could talk to Aaliyah's parents. If Aaliyah's parents would have stood in the gap for other girls down the line, just imagine. I think it could have stopped at Aaliyah. By then, he had several young girls, you know, before Aaliyah, and including, you know, Tiff. He had several girls before Aaliyah, including Tiffany. It could have been stopped. It could have been stopped. You say I will still listen to his music because it was so much part of my life. I was born and raised in Chicago. R. Kelly used to be in my neighborhood all the time. Excuse me. I just wasn't allowed to go next to him. My mom always knew something wasn't right with him. One night he wanted to come in my house and chill. My oldest brother and sister. Oh yeah, I would have been Your brothers can go chill with him somewhere else, but no, the Pied Piper is not coming into our household. No sir, no ma'am. I don't blame your parents. Some parents, we have these we get these strong vibes. We have like this sixth sense, you know, when something ain't right. I'm one of those parents. I have this sixth sense. And to this day, my sons who are grown, excuse me, one of them lives on his own with his girlfriend, the other one's still at home in college. And they swear I have like a sixth sense, eyes in the back of my head, because I always know when something is off. I know when you're lying. I know when you're trying to be in mischief. I always know if you weren't here where you're supposed to be, really. And I'm an investigator. I'm real nosy. Real nosy. But he said I never liked us listening to his music. See, around that time, hold on, I haven't. If my kids don't quit texting me, they know I'm live. Okay. You said a mother. Yes, a mother's instinct is like no other, like no other. Um, but yeah, I knew everything that happened. Even I might have been late sometimes. I might have found out something later because I'm really like I used to tell my sons. You can't out hustle a hustler. I grew up hustling. I grew up around hustlers, and I used to tell my sons all the time. To this day, you cannot out hustle a hustler. A hustler is slick. A hustler can be conniving. A hustler can be believable. A hustler, I mean, it's parents out here. We hustle all the time. We do whatever it takes to feed our kids, to protect our kids. You might call us mama bears, or whatever you want to call us. But we do it, and we make sure things are taken care of. And I have a hustler's mentality. I always had a hustler's mentality. Sometimes you have to do things, to get what you need, to get what you want. Growing up, hey, it is what it is. But I ain't never killed nobody. I ain't never killed nobody, so I can't say that. But I used to tell them all the time, yeah, you can't out hustle a hustler. I will eventually find out if something is off. You said young girls. His studio was right down where I used to live. There was girls around, always around the studio. Young girls want to be guys who want to be. Mm-hmm. Yep. And the thing about this with the Ebony girl, the one who was, she was crying and all that kind of stuff, and she thought that she was the really one. She thought she was the one, and I mean, she was like 14 when she started. She was like 14 years old. Um, Tiffany, Tiffany, the one who brought the friends around, she felt bad. She still felt bad because she the one who started bringing her friends around because at his suggestion, bring your friends around, bring your homegirls around. We can all rehearse and dance and sing and have fun and all this kind of stuff. Her friends that she brought around to him actually started, he started messing around with them before her. And it was crazy how she said, it came to a point in time when girls was just in and out, in and out. They're just running rampant through there, running rampant. And it makes me think, was he really the only one? Was he really the only one? I already believe that he was being enabled by his brothers, security, managers, all that. But was he really the only one? Because the way they make it seem like it was so many girls. Like he had girls living in the garage. I mean, it was so many girls. I mean, did he truly handle all these girls by himself? Or did some of the guys that was working with him or part of his camp have a little taste every now and again as well? But it came to a point where, I don't know, somebody must have said something, somebody must have complained, or the place might have, he probably started getting a little hot. And Tiffany was like, eventually, he told her, could nobody else, none of your friends, none of your homegirls, nobody else come here except for you. And that's when she knew, well, since he likes to indulge in young girls so much and all the time, she was like, that's all they did. Like all the time, they spent more time in bed than they did in the studio. It was more sex than music. And his brother Bruce even said that was how he it was Bruce or the other brother, Kerry. I can't remember which one, but one of his brothers said that his music is what helped him create. I mean, his relationships with these girls is what helped him make these songs. Like all them songs, age ain't nothing but a number, ain't nothing wrong with a little bump and grind. All them songs, a lot of them were penned not by him because he couldn't read or write. But, a lot of those songs were created in his mind by what was going on in his personal life. When they found out, I mean, when it started getting too hot and she was the only one, She knew that it was her time. She didn't want to do it, but she felt like I had to. He keeps making me these promises. He keeps doing this for me. He's keeping me from off the street. He's keeping me from game banging. He knows I'm being abused at home. I have nowhere else to go. So she felt like, okay, if he don't want any of the other girls around, I have to please him. I have to do what makes him happy. Then she finds out later she's pregnant. Lord, Lord, Lord. Now, again, why I say that his people in his camp knew what was going on, because the one kept telling her, you don't have to have abortion. If you don't want to get rid of the baby, make him pay. Make him pay. Tell him, make him. And that was like his camp, his staff telling her. She's a young girl. She's a teenager. She's pregnant. You ain't got to get an abortion. Like, how you going to give that kind of advice to somebody? Really? I cannot picture myself working with somebody and they sleeping with younger girls and one of them get pregnant. I go up to the girl, you don't have to have abortion. That's your decision. That's your decision. As a young child, not go to your mother, not go to the police, not go to your pastor, somebody who can possibly help you and get you out of the situation. You said all those songs towards what was going on in his life. You said most artists write scenes about their life experience. That's true. And he was definitely writing about his experience. His experience, their experience, all came out musically. And you said he is sick and stemmed down from his all the way down to his childhood. And that's why his brothers keep seeming like, and to me, it seems like they keep giving him an excuse. Every time they're interviewed, it seems like they keep giving an excuse, and they always bring it back to the childhood, what happened to him, how the person who did what he did to them and other boys in the neighborhood, he wasn't prosecuted because he was bribing the parents, paying them off with money, and it just spiraled out of control. And then, like, when they sis was doing it to them, they said he liked it, he enjoyed it, he started, just wilding out at a young age. After 13, 14, 15, 16, it was already in him that this is what you do. You have relations with younger people. That's you said, I think secretly someone in his camp wanted him to get caught up, but they were blind by. I do too. Like, for instance, I think his brother Carrie. Was it Carrie? I think that was Carrie. He was the one. He said they were where was he at? He said they were at one of his homes and they were watching movies, and he said the new Stephen King had just came out around that time, and they were asking him, can we borrow this? Can we borrow this Stephen King movie? And he kept telling them, no, you have to go out and buy your own. You got to buy your own. So he didn't want to let them borrow that movie. But the brother, he was like, well, thinking this my bro, it's just a movie, I'm gonna take it anyway. So the brother took the movie anyway. Come to find out, he get home and he found out it's a whole movie, a whole tape with nothing but underage girls on there, and Kel's doing any and everything with these girls. He was shocked. He claims he was petrified. So he contacts him. He's like, man, is you crazy? Do you realize what you're doing? You're recording all these girls and doing all this and that. And he said, so when Kels came back to Chicago, he gave him back the tape. But was that the only tape? I'm sure it wasn't. Because, again, I truly believe that a lot of them in his camp, from his brothers on down, knew exactly what was going on. Just like his brother Bruce talking about, well, I believe that he wasn't recording them girls without their consent. But then he turns around, he recorded me without consent and then put it on a tape and made a whole video titled it Dumb Looks. I'm like, his mind is off. This was his way to pay back from what he. Yeah, and I still think that R. Kelly has like a split personality. Just the way they were saying he used to always talk about R. Kelly, as in he used to talk about himself in third person, like it was two total different entities. He would talk about Robert one way, but then as far as R. Kelly, he would describe him as R. Kelly. He's so powerful. R. Kelly, he says, R. Kelly can do whatever he wants. R. Kelly has money. R. Kelly can buy whatever he wants. R. Kelly, R. Kelly. And his brothers be looking at him like, man, fool, that's you. Why you keep talking R. Kelly like in third person? And so that's why I believe that he probably did have a split personality. I really honestly do believe that. And it probably started silly, mommy, like you said, way back when he was little, because that does happen with children. With children, sometimes they block out a certain part of their life that they don't really like, or something traumatizing, or something that scared them, or something that they want to forget, and they create this whole nother person. And again, some people who are abused as children, they grow up and they normally grow up to be a protector. Like some people have been abused, they grow up to be a protector. Then we have a select that grow up and they also become the victimizer. He became the victimizer. But again, it was so many steps that it took for him to continue doing what he did for 30 years. It started at home. Excuse me. It started with their mother not seeing it through to make sure that man went to jail for abusing him. Then the older sister, and then it went from there. He started messing with girls, young girls, then to Aaliyah, and then it just kept going and going and going. And nobody was like, I'm going to put him in jail. I'm going to put him in jail. And I think what really happened too with a lot of these young girls, they were really in love with him, like really in love with him. So when they realized this ain't right, I'm going to tell somebody. And then when they found out that what he's doing was criminal, like again, people keep saying these kids should have known better. They was just for the money. These kids were kids. Their brains were not fully developed. They were being coerced, manipulated, intimidated. Like when Tiffany got pregnant, and she told him that she was pregnant, he was like, I'm gonna tell you this. She wanted him to take a test to make sure that it was his. To make sure. And he was about to go onto the stage because he was in concert. He was on a tour. She said he stopped the tour. He stopped the whole concert, just put it on pause to make sure that she understood every word he said before he walked out on that stage, which was, you and I had better make sure that baby is not said to be mine. Therefore, I'm not taking no tests. And even if you know without a shadow of a doubt that I am that baby's daddy, you better not speak of it to anybody. And then he told her, now tell daddy you love me. And she was like, love you. And hung up the phone. Then she got off the phone like, how did the conversation go that way? Like how she said, even then he was still intimidating me and, threatening and things like that. And it was like, that was crazy. A lot of them were dumb. Yes, they were dumb. They were wrapped around his finger. He took care of them. He treated them, like they were everything, like they were special, especially the ones who had nowhere else to turn. A lot of them lived with him. He was keeping some in the garage, some in the house. Like girls was just running rampant all through there. Just all through there. Like it was a park. Like he had merry-go-rounds and slides up in there or something. It's crazy. I am so anxious to see this all come to an end. To see, I really wish I could sit in the trial. I really wish I could. I really wish I could take notes. And man, if I stayed near him, I'm telling you, I would be up in there and I'm like, I would just be up in there. My job be like, why you need so much time off? I'm like, I didn't call some kind of sickness, some kind of bug, and it's just, I just need to take a leave of absence. I got a family emergency. I got to take a leave of absence. But yeah, I really wish I could be there so that I could take notes and I could be, like, I know you can't, like, you're not supposed to film and record stuff in the courtroom, but I would have tried it. I definitely would have tried it. But next the next episode that we are going to review, because as most of you know, all the episodes already aired, but I'm doing a review one by one instead of lapping them all together, because it's just too much. It's just too much to do it in one review. So part 3, I'm gonna do a review on that tomorrow. Yeah, I'm gonna do a review on part 3 tomorrow, which is Saturday. And then I'm gonna do a review on part 4, which is Sunday. And then I'm gonna do a review on part 5, which will be Monday. So that's when we're gonna wrap up the season 2 of Surviving R. Kelly. But yeah, it was absolutely no coincidence, no mistake, no accident the way he chose their girls. Young, black, lack of opportunities. They wanted a musical career in singing and dancing. Some of them was being abused at home, didn't have a father figure. It was no accident how he chose his victims. But do y'all recall how they had mentioned the tapes that somebody saw that had white girls on the tape? Did y'all catch that? Was y'all paying attention? Did y'all pay attention? Now, and matter of fact, let me backtrack before I speak about those tapes. Before I speak about that, and then I'm going to get off of here because my lunch break is about up. The white lady, the blonde that we talked about, Lindsay, the one that spoke up or was interviewed in episode 1 of season 2. How she was saying, she worked with him for so many years. She was his manager. She never saw anything wrong, and she thought the girls were only after him because he didn't further their career. He didn't make them famous. Here she is on episode 2 when she was talking about the little girl on the tape that he urinated on. Oh, yeah, I saw her there, and her father and her family was really good friends with him, and he was keeping girls up in the garage, and they would spend the night and all this kind of stuff. But she still claims that she never saw anything wrong. She was like, yeah, he bought her a car when she turned 16, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But she never realized anything was wrong. She never felt uncomfortable about anything. She never felt like a need to call 911. I don't believe her. I still don't believe her. I do not believe her. And if you haven't started this season 2 series yet, please check out episode 1 and listen to what the white lady had to say about why these girls are coming out. But as far as the white girls, there was a tape that they have found some evidence, or alleged tapes, I should say, of some white girls and with him. Now, they also mentioned that unlike black girls, who doesn't draw as much attention a lot of the times as if it was a white victim. Excuse me. They said if early on, if Aaliyah probably would have been some white singer, or if some of the other girls would have been white girls and they came to the authorities, they would have burned him at the stake. They would have burned him at the stake. He would have never been able to go on for almost 30 years. Almost 30 years doing this to all these young black girls. Never Never. I would have never. And then, matter of fact, it was his brother. It was his brother who saw that tape with the white girls. He said on that tape that he thought was a Stephen King movie. It was white girls. And that's when he went off on Kels and was like, do you realize how much trouble you could get in? His brother Robert, his brother Kerry even said, I know if the system, if the authorities knew that he was involved with white girls too, it would have stopped right there. It would stop right there. But because he loved his brother so much, he gave him back the tape. And he claims that R. Kelly burned the tape up. I don't know. I don't know if that tape was ever burnt up. Kerry didn't say he saw him burn it up. He just said he burnt the tape up. Ain't no telling. That tape could have multiple copies out here somewhere, for all we know. But I do believe that if at least, even if only one of his victims was white, I do believe that he probably wouldn't have been able to go as far as he had all them years doing that. You said, I know his brother went off and told on him. Yep. So I just wish that they would have told on him, and even the ones who did tell on him, I wish they wouldn't have been so persuaded by money. So persuaded, but I don't want to judge. I try my best to be biased, to not be biased with the young girls because they were young. They were children. They should have been out on the playground playing double dutch and on swings, riding around with their little girly bikes with the tassels. They were little girls. Man, if those tapes surface, silly mommy, it'd be a wrap. All that's going on now, all this time we waiting on him to go to court and be tried and be prosecuted and all that would have already been done. That would already been done. And all them lawyers that he got, that he's paying so much money for, they probably wouldn't even want to represent. He would probably have a whole nother team trying to represent him and get him off. But anyway, that's my review of season 2, episode 2 of Surviving R. Kelly. And again, this episode was called The Settlement Factory. Now, next episode that we're going to review tomorrow is episode 3 of season 2. And they are going to introduce some other victims in there, some that we already know about. One of them is Lanita Carter. She used to braid his hair. She met him at the age of 24. She was well known around her neighborhood, well known around the city as an excellent hair braider, but she was trying to build her clientele up. And when somebody introduced her to Kels and she became his hair braider, she thought she had, did it. She thought she had, her career was made because she's always wanted to, do hair of the celebrities, the rich and famous. So she figured, with him, maybe other celebs will see how good of work she do, and she get other celebs and, be popping, be like one of those famous hairstylists who like travel, or get flown out, to certain locations to do hair for everybody on set, something like that. And that's all she wanted. She just wanted to be a famous hairstyler. And at the end of episode 2, they show her crying, and you hear her talking about, I just want him to be accountable. I just want him to be accountable. So, we'll be getting into her story and some of the other one's story next episode. Make sure you have the notification bell hit and are subscribed to the Hood Table so that you can receive the notifications whenever I go live. And also, don't forget, I have 2 other channels, Tanya's Primetime TV, Tanya's Delight, Slice by Slice, and the Hood Table. Those are all 3 of my channels. You can follow me on Facebook and IG on all 3 of those. If you ever need to hit me up about a story or about a show or, anything, sponsoring or anything like that, you can you can email me at thehoodtable@hotmail.com, or you can inbox me on Facebook or IG. if anything. And as far as Tanya's Primetime TV, you can inbox me on Facebook or on IG too if you want to talk to me outside. As long as it's like some personal stuff now, as long as it's like some personal stuff, you can hit me up, outside. But anywho, the Hood Table Squad and Tanya's Primetime TV Squad, please make sure you like the video, share the video, and please make sure you have that notification bell hit so you can know when I go live, okay? Hey, silly mommy, thank you for tuning in. Thank you. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And for the ones who chatted with me in the chat, I really do appreciate it. And thank you for saying I did an amazing job. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. So until we meet again, you guys, in the meantime, in between time, stay safe, be blessed, and I'm out. Deuces. Oh yeah, I know you follow me on all three, boo. Thank you. I appreciate it. I do. I truly appreciate those who follow me on any of my platforms. But if you follow me on all three of my platforms, that makes my heart beat. That makes it pop up. Can you hear it? But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You said you need a talk show. You think I need a talk show? Who would I be? Would I be like a Wendy Williams? Or would I be like Oprah? Or what? I don't know. Who would I be? Or like the old remember who was that? Oh my god, now I can't remember the name. Queen Latifah. Remember Queen Latifah had a talk show? I would be like the Queen Latifah talk show. But anyway. I love entertaining you guys, and I love discussing celebrities and TV shows and documentaries with you guys. This is what I do. This is what I love to do. And cake decorating. So that's why I said if you like cake decorating, make sure you subscribe to my Tanya's Delight Slice by Slice on YouTube, IG, and Facebook as well. But yes, until we meet again, stay safe, be blessed, and I'm out. Have a good weekend.